Hi everyone. So you're going to see me looking off to the side. I'm going to be reading from a transcript that I prepared for this short talk as a way to hopefully make this presentation more accessible to more people. So hello, my name is Indira Allegra, and I'm a queer, disabled, non-binary Black femme of Cherokee and Irish descent. When I say I, it is shorthand for the confluence of human and non-human ancestors and teachers who make my existence possible. I use they, them pronouns. I was born in unceded Anishinaabe territories of the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi, known also today as Detroit, Michigan. I'm a thinker, artist, writer, and educator currently living in unceded Chochenyo Ohlone territories, also known as Oakland, California. Before working as an artist professionally, I served communities who were important to me as a sign language interpreter, union organizer, and domestic violence counselor, and have many years of experience working in the service industry. I grew up working poor, and though I have spent much of my life as a city dweller, I enjoy finding ways to be in ever deeper communication with my environment, be it densely populated with humans or not. My work explores memorial as a genre and a vital part of the human experience. I spend much of my days imagining what memorials can feel like and how they can function. I do this through performance, sculpture, and installation, with sculptures at times initiating performances, performances creating sculptures, and sculptures expanding into installation environments. I'm deeply informed by the ritual, relational, and performative aspects of weaving. And I use this to explore the repetitive crossing of forces held under tension, be they material, social, or emotional. Additionally, it is important to say that I believe everything is animate, and also that there is no such thing as blank or open space, geographically, visually, or ideologically. I'm going to take a sip of tea or coffee. Hopefully you have yours too. So notice how I introduced myself. I started with who I am and not what I do. I positioned myself within a complex network of relations geographically, temporally, and ideologically. I acknowledge the presence of teachers, ancestors, and influences in my life, as well as what I enjoy doing in addition to what I do for work. It is with this quality of awareness that I believe we must approach performance. We have to have an understanding of where we are coming from in order to know how to perform with an object or to create site-specific work. Imagine for a moment that you're a dancer and you've been asked to create a duet with another dancer, but you have no information about this person's training, how their body is feeling that day, or any injuries they might have. They don't know anything about you either. It would be stressful to establish a mode of working together without putting yourself or your partner at risk for harm. Without this information, you miss out on a vital part of the story of the work you are creating together. When I am creating a site-specific performance, I introduce myself to the space as a way of acknowledging the animacy of the site. And yes, I mean this literally. I do this as I respect that all sites come with their own narrative histories, which started before I arrived and will continue after I am gone. When doing research pertaining to a site-specific project, I feel my work is strengthened by asking the following questions. 1. Who are the indigenous people of the land I am visiting or working on? 2. Who is not native to the area, but is born and raised in the area? 3. What are the qualities of the landscape and climate I am working with? 4. What are the qualities of the encounters I am having with plants and animals in the area? 5. What is the industry or the history of industry in the area? Sex work, textile production, ranching, shipping? 6. What kinds of institutions existed here? Medical, military, educational, religious? 7. What histories or individual narratives haunt the space? 8. When do I feel comfortable and welcome? When am I welcomed but feel uncomfortable? When do I feel unwelcomed and uncomfortable? When do I feel unwelcomed but comfortable? How do I know this to be true for me? 9. Who or what wants to speak or communicate with me? How do I know this? 10. How can I demonstrate an ethic of care and reciprocity with the place I am working with and whomever or whatever wants to speak with me? Is this possible? Answers to these questions can emerge through interviews I have with people, access to newspaper or academic archives when necessary, internet searches for images, books, videos, and my own subjective emotional or somatic experiences as an artist, which come in the form of dreams, emotional and physical impulses, and experiences of mental clarity, and at times confusion. Remember how I talked about being deeply informed by the ritual, relational, and performative aspects of weaving? I believe research is a way of centralizing the experience and understanding relationships in the making of a work, rather than centralizing the production of the object itself. This is not to assume that all relationships can be harmonious. It may be that you need to make a work to metabolize or think about something which feels antagonizing about a site. Your daily return to your questions, to this work of relationship building, becomes the ritual which holds the portal open for the creation of the work. Relationship building is like weaving. You can't see the whole thing as you are building it. It takes time. You can only see what you've developed in the past, but not what things will look like in the future. You build on the tension which exists in the space to tell a story. And the tension in the space emerges in the answers to those questions also. These are historical or narrative patterns which I understand as the crossing of forces held under tension, be they material, social, or emotional. To perform with objects requires another kind of introduction and relationship building. I handle objects with care and with an intention to preserve the integrity of the body of the object I am performing with. The looms I use in the body warp performances were made in the 1940s, so I had to spend a great deal of time doing what I call asking with them in order to learn how they would allow me to work with them. I did this by making skin contact with the looms first, running my palms along their breast and back beams, their castles and treadles to get information about the strength of the wood in different places and areas of splitting in the wood as well. If the process sounds sensual in some ways, it is because it is for me. Body warp was in fact born out of a desire to give space for my desire to experience the stretch and roll of thread on the loom. Like other desire practices, I believe that establishing a language of consent between all performers is important for the longevity of the relationship. Having established skin contact, I introduced my skeletal weight to the looms, laying my body across them individually and together in static poses. I wanted to feel if the looms could hold me and for how long in certain shapes. Once a somatic trust was established with the loom, I began to introduce my muscular energy, increasing the amount of force or bodily torque I offered each loom each day. I had to listen for the response of the loom in the form of the sounding of the wood. Through the ritual of asking on a daily basis with my skin, my bone, and my muscle, I learned that a high chirp or creak was the loom's way of communicating permission for the shift of my weight. A groan was a way of communicating the loom's twisting motion and permission that I could continue, but a caution that it should be slow. A flat croaking sound was indicative of a crack in the wood, which was sure to happen should I continue. To close, I would like to offer that I believe a focus on relationship is a methodology which the field of craft can offer as a valuable resource to other kinds of artists who may not regularly integrate craft processes into their studios. As a valuable resource to you, fellow traveler, I offer two texts which have been foundational for my practice. This first, this is funny, it shows up backwards here, but maybe it'll be the other way around when you see it. Queer Phenomenology, Orientations, Objects, and Others by Sarah Ahmed. And the second text, Animacies, Biopolitics, Racial Mattering, and Queer Affect by Mel Y. Chen. I'll summarize their descriptions for you here. So in the first text, Ahmed focuses on the orientation aspect of sexual orientation and in the Orient in Orientalism. Ahmed examines what it means for bodies to take shape as they move through the world, directing themselves toward or away from objects and others. She talks about a queer phenomenology which reveals how social relations are arranged spatially and how queerness can disrupt and disorient us in our relationships to objects at reach or just out of reach. In the second text, Mel Y. Chen thinks about how matter that is considered insensate, immobile, or deathly animates cultural lives. It is important to me that this text is important to me as it investigates this kind of slippery division between the living and the dead, or that which is beyond the human or animal, revealing the hierarchical politics which serve as ideological supports for each category. So what kinds of ideas support this assumption that we have that human life is above non-human life, or shape our idea of what is living and what is dead. So check it out. Somatic resources I recommend in the development of your performance work include, you guessed it, meditation. There's no way around it, folks. Body scanning, and other movement practices which involve the coordination of breath and a change of position. I have an eclectic background of dance, stage performance, sport, improvisation, circus, what else do we got? Oh yeah, and yoga in my background. But you can make work with whatever movement is already alive in your body. Performative craft is for anyone committed to the durational practices of curiosity and vulnerability necessary to learn how to make work with sights and objects. All bodies, no matter one's current ability, level of training, shape, or size, can make performance work. All bodies. Keep reading, keep feeling, keep making work. Best of luck to you in all your endeavors.